Hello, I'm Dr. Tina Sinclair, psychologist, mediator and collaborative professional. This video will assist you and your practice group enhance your skills as collaborative professionals. What we know about collaborative practice is that one of its unique and most powerful aspects is the building of a team of lawyers and specialist professionals who assist the client family work through their separation issues and reach agreement. So consider this video as a video workbook. You will see a group of collaborative professionals who are discussing a case. As we move through the segments or chapters, various topics or questions will be highlighted for you to consider and discuss with your practice group. The case being discussed is that of Brian and Brenda, a couple who have been together for 10 years. They have 3 children, but there has been some conflict in this relationship, and the most recent argument has proved to be the last straw for Brian.
So you think you'll be able to help? Oh, that's great, because I'll tell you, I'm pretty much at the end of my rope, and I'm feeling a little bit of a jerk, too, for having been the one to say it's over.
Oh, it was so awful. He did say that he's going to leave. I don't know when. He didn't say. I didn't ask. I know. I think I do need a lawyer. But you know what? I do not want one of those long, drawn-out, ugly divorces. What am I supposed to do about the kids? How am I supposed to tell them?
So what happens next? Brenda and Brian both contact their collaborative lawyers, Nigel for Brenda and Deborah for Brian, and they have agreed to proceed with their separation through the collaborative process. Both lawyers have recommended the interdisciplinary team approach. However, Deborah has a challenge with her client Brian. How a team can best assist Brian and Brenda is under discussion. This discussion takes place as a case conference within the local collaborative practice group. You will see the lawyers Nigel and Deborah speaking with family professionals Gary, Sue, and Sheila. They are discussing this topic with financial professionals Joyce and Jane.
I was hoping that if nobody had anything else that they really wanted to talk about tonight, Nigel and I have an interesting situation that might be worth exploring in the group. We have a new collaborative file, and we had spoken to our clients about involving a financial neutral and a family professional, and they were quite receptive to that. But I have to tell you, Nigel, my client Brian has backed off a bit on it. He's quite worried about the cost.
Are they still living in the same house?
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
are they
Deb's client wants to move,
tomorrow.
Yesterday.
And your client is still reeling.
It's happening to my client. It's happening to my client.
The decision to leave.
Okay.
And she's she's coping with it. I mean, it's a process, but at this stage, it's daunting.
They haven't told the children yet. Brian would like to. He's just ready to go forward. He's got the whole financial settlement sorted out.
Yeah.
He's ready to tell the kids. He's got an apartment rented, but he doesn't want to move out until this is sorted out. I'm having a lot of trouble slowing him down or holding him back a bit.
So he's really frustrated.
He is. He's chomping at the bit. Yeah.
And so he's thinking that if he doesn't get the lawyers happening and get everybody together, if he brings these other people in, it's just going to be way too expensive.
That's his primary concern. And I've done my best. I don't think he truly understands the value of the other professionals, and one of the things I thought might be helpful is if we talked a bit about that, so you guys might be able to give me some ideas how to better talk to him about the value added.
Is she very good with money, and has she been handling finances?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all.
So she's pretty overwhelmed, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You said they had thought about bringing in the two neutrals. What were their reasons for wanting them at the beginning before they started to look at what it was going to cost?
Well, Brian liked the idea of the family professional because he wants some good quality time with the children, and he's a bit worried that she's a bit of an overprotective mom and might be reluctant to let go a bit from the parenting. So one of the reasons why he was at first positive about the family professional was the idea that might be a way to help get more balanced time with the children. And I know for the financial professional, I think your client was particularly feeling vulnerable around the finances.
That's right. But even on the parenting, I mean, she saw that as a way of opening up dialogue, because they really haven't been talking. They haven't been talking about the kids during the period of time, and they haven't been, talking about finances as a group, as a, as a couple. It's been a real division of labor there.
I typically find going in and discussing what is the neutrals cost, it's a red herring. I prefer to open up the dialogue around how can we help you? What are the issues of the children? What are we bringing to this party, so to speak, to help you manage those issues? So that they, as we have that discussion, they're starting to see the value themselves of how it's going to help them out with their kids, with their family, with their finances. They can come to that decision.
For my client to see it as perhaps the first meeting of talking about those sorts of things. I think if you were actually there at that first collaborative meeting, in that kind of dialogue, he'd be engaged, and I think that would have big impact on him.
I find it a lot better for the families to normalize the inclusion of the other professionals right at the beginning, so they see the support all there at once.
And quite often what happens with people is they don't want to bring their emotions into the meeting, because they're scared if they bring their emotions into the meeting. They're just going to look stupid or feel very uncomfortable, right? So if they have that opportunity for a divorce coach outside of the meeting to go through those emotions in a more private kind of way, then the emotions don't get in the way of the process. And they think, oh, well, I'm not bringing my emotion in, so my emotion's not getting in the way, but it really is, right? The anger, the fear, all of that is really getting there. So whether it's a professional that can help them work on that when they're in the meeting and do it in a way that helps them to keep their dignity, feel okay with that, or whether they do it outside of the meeting, that makes a huge difference at moving the process along.
I think sometimes having a neutral family professional at the table also helps to manage the pacing of the meeting, and to help to keep the communication constructive, and so that they don't also spend a lot of expensive time at the table dealing with emotional issues that may need to be dealt with away from the table.
Marriage closure issues, because that's
Right.
really presenting in our case.
Yeah, so often we can have those kinds of conversations away from the larger table and keep the meeting, help everybody really be the best they can be in the meeting.
Brian would appreciate that. I think that would be something helpful for me to talk to him about. That idea of more efficient meetings would really connect with his concern about the cost, and sort of deciding when we're all working together and when there's work that can be done without, as you say, the expense of everybody together. Yeah. So the time when we're all together can be more productive. I think that would be a helpful thing for me to talk to him about.
Sometimes one of the emotional dynamics too that may be helpful for him to understand more is that he's probably been thinking about this separation for a long time, right?
Yes.
So he needs to remember that when he first started thinking about it, what it was like for him and how upsetting, and that Brenda is really at a very different place. So she's going to need some time in the same way to get it. So it's managing both of their needs.
It may be helpful for him to see it as in his interest. We're not bringing in the neutral to slow you down, Brian. We're bringing in the neutral to help bring Brenda along. He may need to view it more as being her need than his need, just to initiate the process. And then he can experience a benefit himself inadvertently as it goes along.
I think there's something to that, because I think as much as he's going quickly and thinks that's a good pace, there are things that he's missing along the way by jumping so quickly to solutions. I'm trying to slow him down to think about the information. You know, we don't even know what's possible with respect to Brenda's desire to keep the home or not, but he already has it in his head that it's not going to be financially possible. He just runs those numbers in his head, and I think if I could slow him down a bit and engage some of the financial professional to really look at that information.
And I'd be worried about his long-term relationship with his own children. Okay. If they feel the rug has been pulled out from under them and he is running headlong ahead, he may leave them behind. And so he can inadvertently undermine that relationship by moving too fast as well. And if that's brought to his attention, again, it's in his self-interest to recognize how to pace himself for his kids' sake. Out of curiosity, is there any concern on either side that they may think that as the neutral comes in, we're going to take a side? Oh, I'm on this one side or that one side.
I don't have those problems.
I'm just, do they truly understand what it means to be neutral? We're not here to tell them what to do.
Right.
We're here to give them a whole bunch of options, help them understand the impact of going in certain directions so that they can make informed choices.
I think that's part of it, though. I think for him, the way he makes decisions traditionally is gather a little bit of information, make a decision, and move on.
Unilaterally.
Unilaterally. He's made all of the financial decisions for the family. He's been out of the home working and she's been at home, and he really has made all of those decisions. And so part of the shift for him is recognizing he's needing to make decisions with Brenda about how the separation's going to look financially and with respect to the parenting.
Yeah, if he wants her buy-in.
And she's going to need a chance to understand the financial situation by herself and not simply being told what it is.
He's the one telling Brenda they can't afford to keep the house. Brenda's really not going to feel confident relying on that because that's been the dynamic.
Well, there's no trust left in the relationship either.
No.
So he's the last person to deliver that message.
So if a financial neutral were to really look at that information and do some reality checking with it, and even that it's not even me or Nigel doing that. So even if I'm delivering that message of, let's just look at the practicalities here and do some reality checking, what would need to happen to keep the house versus what would be freed up not to, that might be really helpful for him.
I think maybe for Brian too, in terms of engaging a financial neutral, if he realizes by not allowing Brenda to catch up in terms of the knowledge there, it might slow the whole process down even more. So it might, so it might be a
so
really...
So slower is faster.
Yes,
like
so
if we slow it down, we will get there sooner. I say to them, like, we have to make haste slowly.
Another thing that's really important, I think Brian needs to hear if he's concerned about cost, is the cost efficiency of one financial neutral.
That's true there, because with the financial being in the picture there, with Brenda not having dealt with the finances, and financial neutral comes in and can help both of them work in getting the numbers together, working with them, showing them what the options are going to look like.
I think one of the other things is that Brian has the expertise on the finances per se, and so he can readily rush to solutions. And Brenda has the expertise, it sounds like, on the children if she's been at home, so she's probably going to be rushing to solutions there. So maybe they can see from each other's points of view that they're going to need to listen to one another and hear and understand and learn a little bit. And that's where the neutral professionals, either financial or family, can maybe help to broaden that perspective and help them both to feel heard and understood.
And I think if Brenda was able to get a little bit of coaching, emotional coaching, though you can't push her, to resolution and to be emotionally ready, you can certainly speed up the process a little bit with some help with that coaching to help her really do some intentional work around that she's going to come to accept that the marriage is really over.
Yeah, because I think what's really important is you don't want their conflict to escalate to the point that the children are caught in the middle, because we all know that it's the impact of being caught in the middle of conflict that's ultimately going to take a lot longer. And, if kids need counseling or people need counseling in a long-term way, then the cost effectiveness in the short term may be better met by trying to address some of these needs at the beginning.
And if both of them are feeling more emotionally fit, for lack of a better word, they're both going to buy into the agreement much better. And then you're not going to have something way down the road where they're arguing or in conflict about it again.
Can you just bring some of this information back to the clients? It's not a matter of talking, here's what we cost or this one costs. This is the real value in terms of what it means for helping you to settle things in a reasonable process. You both feel good at the end of it. You have your relationships with your children intact, finances intact. there's the value.
I'm meeting with Brian tomorrow, and I think this discussion has been really helpful to get me grounded again and just all of the different layers and levels there are to the impact of having a neutral involved. And so I feel really prepared for my meeting with him tomorrow.
Through the case conference, there have been many suggestions made that assist the lawyers engage the clients in the value of the interdisciplinary team approach. Deborah now has some ideas which will assist her with her future discussions with Brian. Some questions that arise from the case conference for you to consider and discuss in your practice group are: how do you see the value of the family and financial professionals in the practice of cases in your group? What protocol does your group have for case conferencing or consultation? Is this interdisciplinary? How early in the process do you think the specialist professional should be included? How would you manage any challenges like Deborah with Brian if the client does not initially see the value of the full team? And finally, how will you discuss the issue of costs of the specialists with your clients?